Papua New Guineans are currently in a cost of living crisis right now. We're struggling to make payments to basically put food on the table.
Treasurer and his Prime Minister should come out and tell the people of this country that we have serious financial problems. We are almost headed for bankruptcy.
We have no plan for the economy, and we have been treating the economy with complete disregard. And by extension, that's our attitude towards the people of Papua New Guinea. Because when you're hungry, it's the economy. When you talk about unemployment, it's the economy. And we haven't been doing enough to address the youth bulge issue. There's nothing stopping us to achieve scale, to achieve exponential growth, to increase exports. But what's required here is a clear pathway to achieving that outcome. The alternative government, we see that the government is just taking us to a point where the youth bulge will implode. There'll be no prospects and opportunities for our young men and women all throughout the country, and this will create total chaos. The issues are real. Every day, don't think people are having 3 square meals a day. They're not. People are going hungry. People are having babies, unemployed, and this is going to create a disaster for the country. So it's serious and it's real. And the time to act is now.
In the next coming days and weeks, country will know that the IMF has pressured this government, and Marape has agreed, whether Treasurer knows or not, to devalue our kina. I believe this government is very immature. It's not prepared to run this country.
The devaluation of the kina will reduce our overall credit worthiness. It'll affect investor confidence. We will not attract any foreign direct investment into the country because people will see that we are a weak economy, we can't handle our affairs, and this is because the Prime Minister has failed to appoint a competent treasurer. Further to that, when the Prime Minister infers that Treasury and the central bank are melding, they're coming together, they're one and the same, this is dangerous for the country. We have to remember the reforms of our master reformist, the late Sir Mekera Murata, and ensure the total independence of the central bank in allowing them to independently exercise their functions to regulate interest rates and apply monetary policy without the interference of the government.
I just want to ask the Treasurer, first question, is this growth, where is it coming from? Because the rest of the country, the economy is struggling to perform, businesses are shutting down, most of our exports, coffee, cocoa, fisheries, forestry, are all on the decline. The household assistance package that you have announced, Mr. Treasurer, of 1.1 billion kina, is not helping families put food on the table. But the real prices in the store goods is a very different story, Mr. Treasurer. In 2019, the price of bully beef was 11 kina 90. Today is closer to 20 kina.
Looking into fiscal trend, why it is important to reduce fiscal deficit, why it's important to continue with the fiscal consolidation. It's important because the interest expenditure, the expenditure on servicing this debt are very high in PNG, and they're high because the level of debt is higher. Yeah. So this slide here shows what was the average spending on health and education in percent of total spending over the last 5 years, and interest expenditure on servicing the existing debt. And actually, over the last 5 years, the interest expenditure has been higher than both, health and education. So by continuing with fiscal consolidation, by reducing the stock of debt, the interest expenditure will gradually go down, and there will be more room, more space to finance health and education and other important expenditure. What is also following from this and from our analysis, that further fiscal consolidation could become a bit more challenging. And this is because we couldn't expect such a big contribution from revenue from revenue from the resource sector as we experienced in 2022 and a little bit of that also in 2023.
This year, we'll have to sort of be seeing and watching. PNG does have some advantages. We've already got PNG LNG. We've got, so it's an established trade route, if you like, from PNG through to Japan, China, Taiwan, and Singapore. It's relatively more accessible. It's got lower risks than from the Middle East with all the troubles that seem to evolve in the Middle East.
Next 2 years, ADB expects that especially mining will drive growth. That's mostly because of Porgera's reopening. We expect a resumption of full production later this year at Porgera and a year of full production next year. And this will be the main driver of growth in these 2 years. There's also higher output expected in the other 2 mines, Oktedi and Lihir, in 2025.
In that 4 years, we have not been silent. We've been working with our investors. I had 5 projects running that were tracking at different negotiation stages. And famously known, my 4 Ps and 1 W. First P for Papua LNG, second P for PNG, third P for Pasca in the oil and gas sector and in the mining sector, fourth P for Porgera, Restartup, and Wafi Golpu. I gave an indication today there's a second W and possibly a third W.
Yeah.
I think Exxon did indicate the second
wildebeest.
Wildebeest.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen, and if you, I think Andrew, you were not in the room when ANZ, there was an ANZ presenter who spoke, the last speaker today, I was there. He basically affirmed what I sort of brushed through earlier today. The next 10 years is the most exciting 10 years for PNG coming up.